Welcome back to another episode of Heart and Hustle, where we keep it real and raw. Remember, Josie always do the intro, so I had to do it today. So, what episode we are again?
Episode 8.
Episode 8. So today we have, I don't even want to call it a special guest. So you guys gonna have to think of something different for it. Is this man is super super special for the county of Douglas County. So we are honored to have him here with us for a quick conversation. And the reason we bring him here is because we want him to be able to share who his personality, who he is in the county. Thank you for coming, Commissioner Mitchell. We appreciate you for taking your time to be here with us today. How are you and how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I wouldn't miss this for the world. Though. I mean, this is a moment. But what's the name of the program again? I just want to
It's
make sure.
Heart and Hustle.
Yes,
Heart and hustle.
Heart and
Correct.
hustle.
Okay, okay. Heart.
Yes.
Okay, because it sounds like you're saying hot.
No, it's heart. Like heart right there.
Yeah,
But no,
heart and hustle.
listen, I wouldn't miss this for the world, and especially you giving me an opportunity to just, share who I am, share about what might have happened to me and many years ago, and how I got there and how we got past that. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's good. That's
Definitely.
good.
We appreciate
And
you.
we really appreciate you for coming in here, man, because at the end of the day is you a busy person, and I'm sure that time you could have been doing something else. You came
Yes.
here, it's mean the world to us. And I'm sure a lot of people in the county as well, they're going to be appreciate that fact that you take your time to sit down and have a conversation. And this is going to be a good conversation we're going to have. So, for people who might not know your personality, who you are, can you tell them? Can you tell everybody who's Commissioner Henry Mitchell?
Commissioner Henry Mitchell. Well, let me start this way. Some people call me Mitch Henry. That's the radio name. And the other part of that is Henry Mitchell the third. That's the commissioner side. So I've got like a couple of things going on here, just so we can be clear. But I'm just a family man. I got 4 kids. I've been doing this thing they call politics for over 2 decades. So that'll be about 25 plus years. And it's about my community. My real job consists of that whole thing of broadcasting, radio and TV and all that other good stuff. So I'm just amazed at what you got here. So
Thank you.
I love life. I love my family. I've got grandkids. And just life has been great.
That's
Nice.
Just until that moment of, okay, we'll get there.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely. So, before politics, what were some of the things you were involved in career-wise, community work, or even personal passion?
Most people don't know that in my earlier years, my kids all grew up in the sports scene. They played football, basketball, baseball, and I coached the Winston Raiders.
Nice.
Oh, God. I was a coach.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Keep
All right.
going.
Okay. All right. That's
Keep
mommy
going.
call. Okay. All right. So I coached a little league football team out in Winston Wader, out west of Douglas County, where we once won the championship. We had some great kids, but I believed in carrying these kids and picking these kids up out of what they call the honey hole. I call it Douglas Village. And we pick these kids up, take them to practice, and we practiced 3 days a week and played on Saturdays, and they either stayed at the house on the weekends, and we just had fun. It was just a family, a good outing where we all just did what we do and enjoyed life. But my kids grew all up through that football season, and my son eventually went to Douglas County High School,
Nice.
where he was the captain of the football team, and went to college, ULM, and University of Louisiana Monroe, and played football and tried out for the NFL for a couple of times. So
Nice.
I mean, I've got a great life and had a great life and doing well.
Okay.
Sounds great.
So now, you was born in Douglas County, or you was born outside of Douglas County?
I'm a Grady baby, born and raised in Atlanta. When you say that, most people will say, oh, I know what you're talking about. Grady baby. Northeast Atlanta, over near the King Center, where Martin Luther King was born and raised, Wheat Street Garden, Grady Homes, in that neck of the woods. And I attend high school at Grady High School, that now called Metro Atlanta, something now it is. So that's kind of my little background in elementary, middle, high school, and out here in Douglas County. And about 35, 40 years ago. Met my wife, and the rest is history.
Oh wow!
Beautiful.
Since we on Atlanta, I mean, I know we gotta move forward, but
Okay.
we gotta go a little bit. So
Come on.
now, 30 years ago
Uh-huh.
till now, how do you feel of what's going on right now in Atlanta with all that stuff, all the shooting and all that stuff? How was it back in the day?
No, I mean, listen, we had a police chief that, Adrian Bell, he didn't play that. So, and Eldrin was that guy who would come down in the neighborhood and jack you up by your collar and say, "What are you doing, boy? You better get this right." But that made us who we are. It really, we had some real good leaders in the community during that time, and kept you kind of focused. And we had the YMCA, and strangely enough, I went to the Butler Street YMCA, got my lifeguard license, and strangely enough, went into the military and actually became a lifeguard.
Wow,
Yeah, in the
beautiful.
military on Waikiki Beach, a place that I always wanted to go, and went into the military and did my time on Waikiki Beach as a lifeguard.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Don't many people know that though. See,
Definitely.
We get some exclusive, right here.
exclusive stuff. Yeah,
So, what inspired you to get on politics?
I think there was one time in 2019, okay, 2000, I started at the city government side of things. But a year or so before that, my nephew, we was looking forward to putting him in politics and trying to get him to run. His name is Montrose Riley. And we kind of set it all up for him to run for a city council seat in the city of Douglasville. So we kind of put it all together, and he decided all of a sudden to go into the military. That threw us all off. That really, but now that was a good thing for him. We was proud of him going into the military. But the bad side of that left that seat almost vacant for no one to run. I wasn't even planning on, or doing anything other than trying to lead the charge for him to be the first city council member on the city government of Douglasville. Okay, long story short, they said, well, what are we gonna do now? We need somebody in that seat that's, that has the personality, that have the wherewithal, and wanting to help the community. So we wanted those things in that person. We couldn't find that person. So guess who was left standing?
You.
So, and that's what happened. So I ended up, saying, okay, I'll do it. And the rest is history. So I ran, strangely enough, Rochelle, who's now the mayor, and I ran first time. My ticket had about 3 individuals on there, and she had about 4 on her ticket. And
Wow.
first time running ever, her and I, and we both won.
Wow.
What? Beautiful.
Wow.
Yes, we both won.
First
And-
time.
And yes, first time, then have an idea, clear essence of what politics really meant, and we did. And long story short, it was kind of scary because when we first got there, okay, another exclusive. When we first got there, the first meeting at the city of Douglasville, downtown Douglasville, which has changed a whole lot since 2000. We went to the meeting, and you can ask Mayor Robinson this when you get a chance. So we went to the meeting, and these guys were up in arms with the mayor. We didn't know what it was all about, what the fight was all about. we was just still trying to find out what's going on the north
going
side.
on,
We just need to find out how can we get more monies, more opportunities, and more situations to happen for the north side. We got there, and that first meeting, the other city council members, which is the mayor and 7 council members. Well, we were the two that stayed, but they stood up and said they protest the meeting, and we're walking out, and I don't care what you guys doing, but this is not going to meeting, and they walked out. But we were all like, oh my God, what's going on? So I stood up and said, listen, I don't understand what these guys have done. It's just me and my integrity. I said, I don't understand what has happened up here, what you guys are fighting about. But I'm here because the North Side sent me and Rochelle Robinson here to find out what that really is. So we did, and we stayed. They walked.
No way.
Yes, they walked out the meeting. So the mayor, I said, Mayor, I'm here to listen. So I want to know what the plan is, what you guys are doing, so I can report back to my constituents on the North Side. So we stayed. That's an
Wow.
exclusive.
Wow.
Yes. And Mayor Mickey Thompson, I think, was one of the best mayors here in Douglasville. I was really proud and understood kind of what he was trying to do, where he was going. Even sometimes we didn't align. And eventually I became the vice mayor in the city of Douglasville some 3 years later. And now I'm the longest standing African American mayor in the city of Douglasville.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
powerful right there.
So,
Powerful. Mm-hmm.
Y'all getting all these exclusives now. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah,
Nah, I felt special right now.
definitely
special.
special. So
Okay.
people see elected officials like you
Mhm.
at event, but don't really know what's your day to day look like.
Right.
Can you just give me a little exclusiveness?
Okay. Okay, some exclusive. Okay, here's some good stuff. First of all, these are part-time situations, part-time gigs. We're there. I'm just going to use it in practical terms of 20-hour work weeks, that we're there actually doing our commission and or city council stuff. However, they're part-time. However, most of us probably put in 80-hour work weeks because it's a lot to keep up with all this. So that's kind of our day-to-day when it comes to the politic and or council, mayor and council and or commission side of things. But I have a real job. My job, from what I do, I'm no longer serving in this capacity now, but the vice president of network operations for a big, huge radio conglomerate that I deal with the Tom Joyner morning shows and the Ricky Smileys and all those other guys. And that's that's the real job. That's the real, that's my bread and butter. However, this politics, as they call it, this is part-time. And it's strictly for the community that we do this. This is strictly for how I see it. I only do it because of the community, not for anything else. There's no hidden agenda like I'm trying to rezone some land so I can make $1 billion and all that. No. So
Wow.
none of that.
Good
So,
to know.
what is something that trigger you specific that make you feel like? I know you give the story with the other person that was supposed to be run that went to the military, but
Yes.
what is
My
something?
nephew. That was my nephew. So.
Yeah, your nephew. What is something that trigger you that feel like when they say you should, somebody have to step in, you feel like you was the
The
person that
perfect
can.
candidate.
I didn't think I was because that's not what I do. That's not what I know. I didn't even quite understand what this really is. I tried to pass it along, but you know how I don't know how spiritual you guys are, but you know how sometimes when God is calling on you and tugging on you and trying to say you need to come over here and kind of this is you, get up, come on, boy, and that's kind of what it was.
Got it.
Yes, I nothing other than that I was told and kind of said this is what I need for you to do to help the people of Douglas County. Because other than that, I was good at coaching the kids. I was good at doing the radio and TV stuff. I was good at all the other work that I'm doing, and I was happy.
And I believe you've been doing it. From what I know, from what I see, from what I heard,
Yes.
and you've been doing a fantastic job. And I'm sure the community 100% they'll appreciate it.
And I honestly, I believe that the community love what I do, and they respect what I do, and they understand what I do, and it's all about them. It's
Facts.
about the community. So that's a matter of fact. But you've got a small select few that sometimes don't understand that, and the commitment that I have in my heart as to what I'm doing versus what they think I'm trying to do.
Got it. Got it. Make a lot of sense.
So,
Don't mean to startle you guys. Come on, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay.
what were some of your biggest challenges that you had to face?
Challenges. Oh wow.
That was what during his campaign, right?
Yeah, during his first
Doing
campaign.
for my first campaign, just trying to understand how to campaign. But what I'm good at, though, I'm a great marketing specialist. See, I'm good at marketing, branding, because that's who I am.
That's
Nice.
exclusive again because a lot of people
Come
don't know
on,
that.
don't know that. So when it comes to branding, and that's kind of how I helped Rochelle, who's now the mayor, win. Because I said, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna strategize. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna team up and do this, but we're not gonna let the other candidates know what we're doing. Because in this ward, it was a super ward where we had 2 candidates in a super ward, and I said, if we team up, so when I get this side of the this side of the tracks, you get this side of the tracks. And but while we're out there with our teams and different teams, you kind of do this with me, I'll do this for you. And then that's kind of how we did that and marketed and branded. We put together the signs. We helped her with the signs, and myself too, though. We did the marketing brochures and all that good stuff. And we handed this stuff out. And we, at one time, became one of the most marketable, candidates in the city election.
Nice.
Because I'm an expert at that. So in case you guys.
And during those time, there was no internet too. So everything had to be from right
that's
here.
Right. That's right. Yeah, all this internet and all this. Oh, no. Social media, No, we had signs and we were digging holes and we putting it in the
Right.
ground.
Go
And
shake hands to people.
shake hands and going to, we went door to door to door.
Like you was putting the real footwork.
Oh, yeah. This was this whole new age of internet. Nah. No. You made that sign. You put that sign down. You took that brochure. You handed it to someone, and you sat down and you talked with them and all that good stuff. It required more work. And again, I consider myself as a marketing specialist because I know about that, how to brand something to make it become something bigger than what that is. Because that's what I do.
Definitely.
And I did that for many years. Yeah.
On the same topic, right? During your campaign, I asked you that because it happened, but I want to make sure did it happen to you or Miss Russia? So when you guys put your sign up, did you ever wake up the next day you don't see some of them?
Yes, and yes, but here's the thing though. I call them, these are my little soldiers. And I call them my soldiers. So when I put them up, yes, we had people kind of trying to watch them and keep up with them. I've had time where they cut the signs all the way down. Because then we was putting them up with posts. Not the metal posts that you see nowadays, but there was a wood post. What is it, a 2x4x8s or whatever they called? And, and we had to manually put those in. And when somebody come and cut that thing down, it's like, what the heck? But that's how angry people were getting because the marketing and branding was working.
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
Working. Yes.
100%.
So with that, we won with flying colors.
Wow.
When we had every bit of anywhere between 3 on one ticket to include yourself and 4 on the other ticket that includes yourself. So it was a heavy load to carry, and we did. That's First good. Time out, and I beat an incumbent by the name of his name was Reverend Jones, and he was a pastor on the north side, and he had been in office. And these are 4-year terms. I want to say at least 3 terms. He was getting ready to work on his 4th term that I came in and beat him. He had 3 other people on the ticket though, but I beat him out. But his thought process, at least, and I shouldn't speak for him, but I'm just going to say this. His thought process was, as long as I get those that know me on the ticket to vote for me, I'm good. I said, cool, but I'm going to go after at least 2% of those that will vote for you. And if I can get 2% to come on this side and I get the new heads,
you're done. It's over.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. And that was my strategy. And I explained that to Rochelle Robinson, Mayor Robinson today. And that's kind of how we did it. And we successfully became one of the first, 2 of the first rather, to kind of get up in there, with a heavy race of that caliber. Yeah.
Wow. So how do you balance being the commissioner and your personal life with your kids, with your wife? How do you balance that?
It's tough. It's always the hardest part is trying to get the community and share with the community, and then trying to turn that off and turn on, family life and going on vacation and kids and, but because of the coaching side of that we shared with, we constantly worked, we were always community. So we always were a part of the community. So that was kind of a blessing. So now to become a politician, as you guys call it, it was easy because now that's what we've been doing anyway. So now sharing with family, it was like, well, that's what he got to go to another meeting. He's going in coaching, he got a game. And sometimes, as you know, if you had those Saturday games with your kids, it starts at about 8 that morning and probably in the end till about 5 because you had different age groups playing football. So going around the clock. So that was an all day Saturday. And when you get out of that, you're like, oh, you're burnt. And then all the kids running around the house, you're like, I'm asleep. Yeah, man. So, yeah. But I think more because of we were already doing community stuff anyway. That's just who we were. Yeah.
Gotcha.
As a family.
So, since being in politics, what are
You not really hate saying that politician type. Okay, but go ahead though. Okay, yeah, okay, go ahead.
what are some projects or achievement that you're most proud of?
I'm proud of being the longest standing African American mayor pro tem, which is the vice mayor.
Nice.
I'm extremely proud of that. I went to the state capitol in my commission and did a bill, introduced a bill with one of the state representatives to take a blighted, to call it a blight versus a slum, a word that was in a bill that I thought was derogatory to African Americans, that their community be called a slum. But I wanted the monies and funds that came along with helping my community, but I wanted to change the word from slum to blighted, and I was one of those commissioners who introduced the bill along with one of the state representatives and got it passed.
Nice.
And, you know, it was like, oh, wow. So I'm standing up there with the governor signing the bill and like, hey, this new word now.
Yeah,
I'm
real
like,
nice.
I did that. So, I really like those kind of things. And again, I don't need the accolades or the trophies and all that good stuff, because what's important to me, though, in all of this is my community. It's
Right.
getting my community, doing for my community, helping my community, and,
Definitely.
you know, having those that look like me feel like they could do it. Whoever thought that we would actually have a president that looked like us?
Right.
Facts, 100%.
So I'm good with that.
Definitely.
I'm good with that.
So now, since you was just say something about the governor, right? So now, something happened in 2023,
Okay.
and this whole situation make national news. It was everywhere. A lot of people got pissed off, and you know, one of the crazy thing is when that situation happened, and it was everywhere. But you know, every case open, but every case closed.
Correct.
So when the whole thing is closed, so nobody know what's going on. So I want you to walk through everybody to what happened.
Okay.
What lead to the situation? What exactly happened to that situation?
Okay. So 2023 is when you guys got wind of it, but it
Right.
actually started in 2018-19 when this whole thing all came about. And it came about with somehow they're trying to say that we big rigged or some kind of way took $2.50, ran out the back door and gave it to this guy by giving him a contract. I know I'm making it kind of sound kind of small, but supposedly we gave this gentleman, Mr. Knight, a bid that was strangely enough the same bid as another person that bidded for this, which I didn't know this until the trial came about. That we somehow gave these guys the information, at least gave him the information, so when he bidded on the same bid that the other guys supposedly had, and that's kind of how they came up with the same numbers, which honestly, I don't have a clue how they got there to that point and how those numbers became the same number, but here nor there. It started roughly about 18-19. The GBI got involved with it. Let me back up. The DA supposedly got involved with it. Then passed it on to the GBI, and then the GBI got engaged with this. So roughly about 22, 23, all of our names and stuff started being plastered on your daily news about they did it. We know they did because we got all the facts, because they interviewed from commissioners, past commissioners, to department heads, and you name it, but they never interviewed me. But they're going to claim, they never interviewed me, but they're going to claim what I did. But what I told them when they called me on my job and said, hey, Mr. Mitchell, we'd like to just sit down and talk to you about this particular situation. I mean, you're not in trouble. There's nothing wrong. And I said, okay, I hear you though. Okay, so what do you want to ask me? What's going on? Well, can we come and meet with you? We can come down to your job. We can go over to Junebug's house. We can go, whatever you want to do. We just want to sit down and talk to you. I said, okay, hold on a second. So you are who? We're the GBI. I said, okay. Okay, so let me get me an attorney, because I've been taught you don't kind of have these conversations without some kind of legal representation
Correct,
available.
definitely.
That was just that's how I was raised. So when they said that, I said, okay, we can talk, but no, you don't need no attorney. You're fine. We don't need anything like. I said, no. If you want to talk to me, you'll talk to me and an attorney, and we'll have an attorney present, and we'll have a conversation. That's not a problem. So 19 went by, 20 went by, but I wouldn't have the conversation alone. Not that I was afraid. I just didn't know kind of how. At least I saw enough TV shows of how they would ask the question,
Yep.
but trip you up.
Facts.
And try to
Facts.
use
So
it
I said,
against you.
Yeah. So I said, I've seen too many TV shows like that. Like, oh,
I would
I
have
ain't
get
doing
trapped.
that. No, so I said, I don't mind having a conversation with you, but we're going to have a conversation with someone legally that's representing me in the room. So we can say, yeah, say this. No, don't say that. Long story short, I never did. So I thought by the time it got to 2022-3 that it had gone away until all of a sudden we got them. They need to come down and do fingerprints. They need to do this, that, and then it scared the heck out of my aunt and most of my family members. And because they're like, they thought I was in jail. I said, Auntie, I'm at home. What are you talking about? But I'm on the news, like, they handcuffed, walking down the aisle and on the red line in a jumpsuit. But I'm joking. It wasn't that bad. It just it gave that presence of
That
what we.
perspective.
Yeah. And I'm saying no, that's not true. So, but that's kind of how it evolved into where it was. But mainly, I didn't want to just have a conversation with GBI and anyone else until I had some representation because I've seen too many movies like that.
And the whole thing too about you saying that too,
Yeah.
it's not about because you feel you guilty of what was going on. The reason is to protect yourself, and you don't
Correct.
want to say something that you regret what you're saying. You rather have a lawyer
Present.
and present. Yeah,
Yes. So that way, when they ask that question, they can't trip it back up and say, no, you said, because I said. And I'm saying, the only thing I was just trying to do was answer your question. But do understand, even in the Q&A, my answer has never changed. I said from day one, I never did anything. I don't know what you're talking about, that me and Madam Chairs and others did some kind of backroom deal to get this gentleman this contract. Like, what are you talking about? So I felt as though they called me out to the degree of I'm guilty by association, by going to church with the gentleman, and he had a sign in my yard. Because if you go back and look at the news stories, they said, Mr. Knight, that's Commissioner Mitchell's sign in your yard. Did he give you the contract numbers? And that's what I'm saying. He said, like, no, because I didn't. Because I didn't. But yes, he had my signings. But keep in mind, Mr. Knight was the sign man in the county.
Alrighty, so when those charges came down, what was your first thought? How did you prepare yourself mentally?
Oh, man. My first thing was, why me? How could this be so? So I'm at home, and I'm sitting there like, wow. So this is really going down. Yeah. So when I had to go down to the sheriff's office and do the fingerprints and the mug
Is it was
shots.
Douglasville or it was Fulton County?
Mug shots and it was Douglas County Sheriff's Department with Sheriff Pounds. So it was one of those like, okay, this is real.
Right.
It's like okay, hold on, woosah moment, like okay, all right, and in the end, okay, so now I go to work that day, and then I eventually said okay, so I called up Tax Commissioner Greg Baker, and I said, hey Greg, what are you doing? He said, okay, well, I'm gonna go up there today. What time you? So we all kind of said, okay, let's go up there today at I don't remember the time, but 2:00. I said, cool, I'm going to leave out of Atlanta. I'll shoot down that way. We'll meet up down there. We'll go. But let me call the sheriff and let the sheriff know we're going to come. So we did. So we met up at the courthouse, not at the courthouse in the back, up at the sheriff's office. And, we went through the process. And it was like a woosah moment because you almost want to sit and say, wait a minute, is this really real? Like, I'm up here like, and I'm back. Now, they did clear the jail out. They cleared it all out for both of us to walk through, do our fingerprints, blah, blah, blah. We walked in and walked out. And probably the only one who knew that was the bail bondman, who's a friend, said, don't worry about it, guys. I'll sign you guys out. Y'all go home and call it a day. But that's kind of what that process was. It was quick, painless, and easy. But when you watch the news story and then you see the news flash, we was in orange jumpsuits walking into jail, and they got the key, and those big key click, so yeah, but it was nothing close
It's
to that.
all for clickbait.
Yeah. And they sold the story. Commissioner Mitchell and Greg Baker, they turned themselves in, and they, and you guys saw all that, but we was at home chilling at that time, so.
So now, how do so from your position, you
Okay.
had to step down. So how that happened? Who
Okay.
called you and to tell you, hey, from now on you gotta step down and everything.
Okay. So they kind of shared that the governor could potentially ask that we do that. I didn't agree with it because I said, no, hold up. I thought we're innocent until proven guilty. Okay, I don't quite get that he can decide on you're going to step down until this and that happens. And so I talked to my state reps and others, Roger Bruce and Kimberly and all these guys, and we was like up in arms, like why? Because I'll say this much, and maybe I'm wrong in this statement. That is, if the governor was a Democratic governor, we probably would have been safe to stay there until it was all over. But because the governor was a Republican, and he kind of wanted a Republican in charge. So that was his opportunity to force Madam Chair and myself to step down and wait till this process is over. And that's what they did. So it was tough. It was tough.
How long that process take?
Well, we was out probably about 18 months almost. I call it 2 year, my 2 year
2 year?
hiatus. It was too long for what happened that started in 2018-19 to say we at 2023 and you just now deciding to say, rah, here's what we're going to do. But we did. We stepped down, and that was it. So we all stepped down, and the rest is history. But I didn't agree with it at all because I was saying, how could the governor decide that? Now, he couldn't decide that with the tax commissioner. It was only myself and Madam Chair had to step down as commissioners because he has the upper authority over us.
Got it.
Yeah.
So how did this impact you personally during that time where you had to step down?
Well, it wasn't the financial strain because that wasn't, my my that was only a stipend that they gave us that I spent more of that with my community and trying to keep my community moving along. However, I did have some heartburns, and it was a little stressful time with my real job because once that hit the news, you can imagine, people on the job, my CEO and others like, okay, what's going on? Did you really do it? I'm saying, hold on, God, I've been doing this since 2000. Here we are in 2023, over 2 decades. You're going to think, why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Facts.
So it was a little, they kind of stood with me because they know who I am and what I represent and my integrity. So they said, we got you, not a problem. But they did kind of, almost blink. Yeah, they questioned it and I said, no. So I got an attorney and hired an attorney to say, write me a letter to send to my job to say, hey, and as you probably noticed, during that whole process, I never mentioned my real job. It was only the county business because I always separated the two.
Right.
Got it.
So, and I'm glad that I did all these years. I never combined the two in any marketing or anything that I ever did. I've always kept my job separate, kept my family separate, and kept, the politics to itself. And it was probably good that I did that because, I think if it had came down to it, if they had paid attention, that the position I held, it could have been crucial.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So during the trial, what kept you grounded?
Let's see. My aunt,
Okay.
she said, baby, you're going to be all right. You tell the truth and tell them what that is.
You know what they say, they tell her.
Baby, I'm praying for you. So, baby, you're going to be all right. But it scared her almost, not to death, but I don't like to say it that way, but it scared her really. But she really kind of was that, because my mom had already passed. And so she was kind of that anchor that really kind of stayed in there. But I truly, I had people like yourselves and others that was there too, though. Not that you had to be in the room, but I knew you guys, and I could feel that energy around me that covered me during this whole time. So I felt good about the whole entire, but I was good. I was more mentally challenged trying to understand, like, why me?
Facts.
Why me? Like, that's the part that was really a struggle. And me and the Lord had some really challenging moments.
Okay, so now when it comes to your kids, I know they live in the county as well. So how do this impact them? How do they deal with that?
It had a real huge impact on these guys. And like I'll just start with my son. My son was ready to drop kick everybody. You know, he really felt that, why are you talking about my dad like this, knowing that it's not true. And not that it's not true because I'm his dad. It's that he know all the players in the game that he's saying that can't be true. When could he have did it? How could he have done it? And now my daughter, my oldest daughter, she get on social media fighting back. And I'm saying, baby, don't do it. You can't win on social media.
There's so many of them that got so much to say.
And then strangely enough, down the road, which I think it had a huge impact to my son, because he eventually tried to run for District 2 commissioner.
I heard.
Now, I think if by chance he and I would have been not on the same ticket, because we couldn't have been on the same ticket, but if I was in the office with no problems and he had ran at that time for District 2, I truly believe he would have probably won.
Good.
More because of my integrity,
Your credibility.
my credibility. I mean, all of these great things that I have already established and laid the groundwork for him. And people would have saw Henry Mitchell, and they would have thought the third, but they would have the fourth. They would have been like the fourth. Oh, yeah. So it would have been an automatic, because again, it's about branding, as I talked to you about earlier. So I think he would have had a smooth sailing in to make this work. So my thoughts were he would have been a sure foot in if by chance none of this had happened.
Yeah, I
Makes
agree.
sense,
I agree.
definitely.
You know, because people judge, even they,
Yes.
they don't do the research. They judge by whatever they see.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that definitely would have impacted.
Yes.
Now, what do you think the public misunderstood about your case?
That the misunderstanding was, there's no way in Haiti. Okay, yeah, okay. So there was no way in Haiti that I could actually go in and actually take money from and or give to even yourself and your business. So that's not how government works. So the misunderstanding is how government works, to understand that process, that yes, I may be right now the finance chair, but I don't have access to I only have access to the numbers, not the dollars and cents. I don't pull a till in the drawer, place your money in, and you give you a till and say, count your dollars and make sure you're ready. So when we come back and count at the end of the day, it balance out.
Got it.
It's not that type of an operation. So the misunderstanding is how government works, how we operate, how funds are transferred from one to the other, and how all that stuff goes down. And this, my only thing I do is make recommendations, make laws from a local government side of things, and I move that along. And the executioner is the county manager, who actually says, okay, these are the rules and regulations, and I'm calling them that, but they're normally policies. These are the rules that we now, as the citizens of Douglas County, will play by. That's just how it works.
That
So
makes sense.
there's no exchange of monies. There's no exchange of power and or contracts. Now, what I will say, that Madam Chair, once we authorize her to sign a contract, then she can sign a contract, and the contract can go to legal, and legal have, their legal opinion, and then it moves through the process. Outside of that, she can't sign a document. So here's what happened. So Madam Chair signs a document before getting board approval. I raised my hand and said, first of all, she can't do that. Madam Chair, it has to come before the Board of Commissioners to get approval. Now, I'm making all this noise about this particular situation, which was with Mr. Knight and that whole contract. So they had to bring that back before us. But why would I make that kind of, announcement that she can't do that when I'm in the back room giving him some sweetheart deal? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it don't make no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So,
Definitely.
long story short, it had to come back before us. We re-voted on it, and we made the statement that we're cleaning up what happened with the contract being signed prior to us giving authorization to sign it. And that's kind of that's all it was. So they made it into this whole big thing of, we did some kind of conspiracy and we gave him a contract illegally and blah, blah, blah. So all of it, that's what it became. And this what this all became. Yeah.
So now, how much money this cost you throughout the process? I don't. I mean, personally,
Okay.
mentally, I know that you can put a price on it.
No.
But just in general, if you would have said a number, and how much that cost you?
I know when we all added this thing all up, it was attorney's fees, back pay, oh God, insurance policy, and I mean it was quite a bit of money. On the low end, it was about 125 $30,000,
Wow,
and that's just for me.
got it.
Multiply that by four.
Damn. Like
Okay,
over,
then you start
almost
getting the math
yeah.
of what the county residents paid for this situation that was created. Like, what just happened? And to get zero or a non-conviction out of all of us is like, wow. So that was money to me wasted.
Yeah, money, time, your reputation, and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Now I didn't add the time in there, but just dollars and cents to put a number on something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
But you're right, mentally and just the time and hours that went in and all of this, mentally I could never be repaid back.
Did you ever feel a way when you walk at the store throughout that time?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was you always, at least I did. I can't speak for my other colleagues. You always walked with this notion of, again, why me? And somebody's looking at me like, what are they thinking? What are they saying? You know, you always have that notion of, I just can't believe
Like
this.
a second thought in the
Yes,
back.
yes. You always questioning yourself. But now I've had some therapy. I'm just gonna tell you guys, it's yes, I had to kind of, because I was mentally drained, I was mentally challenged, I was mentally just, it was like my head was my sleepless nights, because you're constantly thinking about what this, because it's not true. But somebody could have said that, and maybe the jurors could have said it was true.
Yeah, I mean,
And we found guilty. Now that would have been like, what?
yeah, that
And
would be
did you feel
disgusting right
like
there.
your faith helped you a lot throughout
Absolutely.
this whole thing?
Absolutely. Because as I said throughout this whole journey, I said, now, why me? Lord, why did you do this to me? What made you put me in that hot seat like that? And we had some challenging conversation, guys. So it wasn't just like a pleasantry of, hey, Lord, God is good and all the time. And I wasn't all like that. It was some unique conversations.
Okay.
And what I kept getting back, and I share this with others, that it was said to me through my spiritual journey, through all of this, why not you? Why not you? And I took that. I said, okay. And in the end, I saw it, and I was proud to walk out of the courtroom, the courthouse, into my car and say, I got you. I understand. Yes.
So, if you were to give advice to anybody who's running for the office, to what happened to you, and what would be the advice would you give them?
Be strong. Make sure it's your conviction. And don't do or think unethically, and just be honest and true to the people from which you want to serve. I call this position, as you guys call politicians, I call it a true public servant from which I serve, not a politician. I'm a true public servant, and I only want to serve my community and my community alone, and that's all I wanted to do, and that's all I did, and I will continue to do that. So it's about being a true public servant, not a politician.
So, now, if there's one thing you wish I would say the media would have done differently, what would it be?
Come back when everything is said and done and say, not only I apologize, but let me air as much time I put in telling that you guys, or thinking that you guys were guilty. Put that same energy and time in showing that we all were found not guilty. Go back and put that time in. Show the public, because you ran one story that was in the end not guilty, and that was it.
Yeah.
But you ran 121 stories talking about they're guilty. I saw the hand in the cookie jar. I know they did this. So let's do some reality checks of let's balance this thing out and say, now that they're not guilty, I would love to do a mini series of all of this.
You should.
A mini series about
You
the
should.
true story of the trial in Douglas County.
Oh man, that would be so dope.
And just let the people kind of see how it went down, because I still got audio and video and other stuff
Nice.
that from those that kind of sort of thought they got something and come to find out they didn't. And you would love to hear some of the things from which they said, because I was shocked.
Wow.
You know, Commissioner Guider, Commissioner Mulcair. And I would love for them to, you know, recant some of the things from which they said.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Do you feel like, this is like my last question with this whole thing.
Okay.
Do you feel like politics in Douglas County is truly fair, or is there more behind the scene?
Okay. I think politics in Douglas County is fair, but it's fair to only a certain elite or certain group of people, because it's fair to how they want to see it or envision it. Not
Gotcha.
fair to, I see not Republicans and Democrats and independents. I just see a community that's either suffering or need help or need resources and so on. And I want to make sure I try to serve and make sure they know where all these resources are. That's kind of how I see it. I don't approach, if you are in my district, come talk to me. No. If you're in Douglas County, if you live in Guam, you can still come and talk to me and we can have a conversation. It doesn't really matter. So it's about being a true public servant is how I see it. But most tend to look a little bit different than that, though. So
Got it.
Yeah. So, if you were to send a message out there to the young generations from what happened right now, I don't know if you realize we're losing them kids
yes.
like from back to back.
Left
You
to
know,
right.
what can you say? How do you feel? What can we do about this situation with losing all those kids in the community?
You know, that's tough, and a good question though. And you're right. I won't say that we're losing our kids and losing a generation. It's just that we got to reestablish and get these guys to understand kind of their position in the ecosystem of how it works. Because what happened, I think, is that they feel like they're not heard. They feel like they're not being listened to or talked about. They're being talked about or talked at. And I don't think that's not going to fare well with that Gen X or the next generation. I think we got to do a better job at trying to make sure that they're engaged, they're involved, and their voice matters. And if we don't reach and make sure we reach out a hand to try to do that, we're going to find ourselves in deep, deep trouble, because who is that next president, yet along next commissioner, yet councilman, mayor pro tem locally? Because local politics matters.
Facts.
So if we don't try to find out who's next up, we'll just have a game of 5, and when Michael Jordan is done, you know, everybody loses from that point forward. We got to do a better job as the adults that we are to reach out to that community, whatever the gen you want to call them, and make sure that they're being heard. They're being talked to, not talked at. They're being understood, that their voice matters.
Definitely,
Facts.
definitely. So, what do you want people of Douglas County to remember about you?
Ooh,
10, 20 years from now?
okay. And then I'll be in Hawaii in my grass skirt. So I just want them to remember me as a person of great integrity and great character, that he really, truly cared about our community, and forget about all this other crazy that came about.
Definitely.
You know, that 1%, even though it was wrong, that 1% tend to outweigh all the 99% of things from which we've done right.
Right.
Now, that 1%, in my case, wasn't wrong, but I had to prove myself that it was wrong.
It was wrong.
So I just want to be kind of remembered as, or thought about as, a true person of integrity, that he really thought about and did everything he thought was possible to make sure that Douglas Countyans had those resources to be great, to enjoy life, and that's it.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh man, I think we talk about so many great things. I
There you
enjoyed
go.
the
There you have it.
conversation so much, and you know what? Since you know that's what you do, I'm gonna let you do the closeout for me on that one. So
The outro.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
gonna let
I'm
you
gonna
do
do
the
that.
outro.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the podcast name Heart and Hustle.
Okay.
So I want you to do the closeout.
Okay.
But before you do the closeout,
Okay,
there's
okay,
anything you
okay.
you would like to share to the community that's gonna watch the episode?
Or maybe anything that we didn't get to ask you that you want to just throw out there.
Oh, wow. I think you guys threw out a lot. I think you guys did a lot. I don't think you missed much, but there's always, there's so much in my little pea brain, as I always say. My daughter's
We're
like
gonna
my
have to
little pea
dig it a
brain.
little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah, I know. So
to
you
get some
you
more
dig
time.
deep, and you know, and there's a lot that I do and know and have been a part of that I'm truly proud of. So I would just say, you guys keep doing this type of messaging, and not just for Commissioner Mitchell, but for just people in general about truly what's going on, not in just their community, but in just their day-to-day lives. You know,
100%.
their marriages, their family, their kids, and how things are. Because I think we need to put out more good stuff, great things,
Positive, yeah.
and positive energy.
Facts.
Because if we send out positive energy, you'll get that in return.
100%.
Definitely.
So I think if we do more of that, I think you guys, and with this podcast, you know, I think, man, we'll go places.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
Thank
now
you.
let's give me the outro now.
Okay. Thank you for listening to.
Correct.
Okay. Now, what was it called again?
The
Heart
heart
and
and
hustle.
hustle.
Heart and Hustle. Okay. You want to find out what's really going on in your community? Heart and Hustle. That's where you go. You can get the great information. You'll get all kind of interviews and great information that you can take back to your community. Heart and Hustle. Catch it right here where your favorite podcasts are found.
There you go. You heard a man say, there you go, you have it. So you're gonna see you guys on the next one. We
Next
appreciate you for
episode.
coming, man. Thank you
You
so
got it.
much. We
You got
appreciate it a lot.
Thank you again.